God's supposedly everywhere, right? At all times. Okay, well, where was he when that little child I just talked to was being sexually abused? You telling me he was sitting in the room doing nothing? Makes me angry. It gives me chills. It makes me so angry.
I want to start my response first by empathizing. I've been essayed. I know a lot of my friends and family, both Christian and non-Christian, have been essayed or worse. They've told me their stories. It's a very horrible and brutal world out there sometimes. And if you are a religious person, oftentimes when you face these situations and dramatic and traumatizing instances of evil, you tend to ask yourself, well, where was God? He's supposed to be omnipresent. Was he just watching? What the heck is going on with all of that? I and many others have asked themselves those same questions. But what I want to flag here is that Christians have been theologically, philosophically talking about the problem of evil and ways of reconciling God's existence with the evil and suffering that we face in the world, literally since the texts were being written that established our faith. Dr. Joshua Swamidass is a Christian philosopher, and he is currently writing a book, if he's not already written and published the book, about the problem of evil, where he attempts to give an answer to every version of the problem of evil, including like an experiential problem of evil, which is what she brings up in that video. Sort of one answer that has a lot of explanatory power and scope. But even from personal experience, I can say that you can have that theology and philosophy to understand why God can still exist in a world with this kind of suffering and evil, and still find yourself having this black night of the soul where you're having a lot of doubt, where you're faced with a tremendous amount of evil and wondering where he is, or if he's even there, if he cares, those sorts of things. Something that I have rested in, at least when dealing with some of these issues, is understanding God's justice. That this world and the evil that I experience from other people in this world is not going to be the end. That there is divine rewards and divine punishments, and there is a dealing with sin that God does, and there is going to come a time where evil will cease to exist, and so justice will come for the man who did those things. Justice will come for the people who have hurt me, and so on and so forth, even when our conventions and our legal systems have failed. Now, that doesn't explain why this particular instance of evil was allowed to happen by God. And I honestly can't say. I don't know why this particular instance of evil was allowed to happen by God. But it is really important to remember that God's not just sitting back watching and chilling. There's work that he's doing that we don't see, and there's justice that's going to be met out to the wrongdoers and the evildoers and the oppressors and so on that will take place in the future. Furthermore, if you read some of the Psalms, if you read Job, you can see that you're actually allowed, and it's okay to struggle and have these doubts and have these thoughts when faced with evil or something that doesn't make sense to you in the world, including your own experiences, and say those things to God. Take Psalm 88, again, take the book of Job, see Lamentations. And so for anyone who's struggling out there with something like what was mentioned in the video, or something like what I've mentioned in my response, please know that you're allowed to do that. That is okay, and you can do that and still be a person of faith. That said, as always, make sure to comment your own thoughts down in the comments below, and make sure you follow me for more content like this.